Welcome to Malice and Mystery, where shadows whisper and the unknown beckons. Enter a realm of spine-tingling horror, eerie mysteries, and chilling tales. From real-life paranormal encounters to unsolved enigmas and bone-chilling urban legends, we bring you the darkest stories from the depths of the unknown. Subscribe if you dare, and remember, some mysteries are best left unsolved. Sinister things discovered in old family photos. A haunting mystery unveiled. The unveiling of shadows. In a bustling Chicago antique shop, Clara found an old photo album with a cracked, faded leather cover. Intrigued by its mysterious aura, she bought it. Unbeknownst to her, this album held deep family secrets. At home, Clara noticed the haunting photos with blurred faces and shadowy eyes, which soon led to unease. She spotted peculiar details, like a lurking figure in a family picnic photo and eerie shadows from an abandoned child's toy. As weeks passed, Clara grew obsessed with these photos. Realizing they were more than historical, they hinted at a hidden, darker chapter of her family's past. Each photo urged her to delve deeper, challenging her beliefs about her heritage. The shadows speak louder. Clara's interest in the old photo album grew as she closely examined each picture. A group portrait in a grand Victorian parlor caught her eye. The setting suggested wealth, but an unsettling shadow clung unnaturally to one man's face. In another photo, a young girl with a doll on a garden bench seemed innocent. But the doll's head was tilted back unnaturally, and a blurred figure with elongated limbs loomed behind her. Clara noticed subtle distortions in nearly every photograph. A bride's veil fluttered without wind, and a groom's reflection showed him standing away from his actual position. A tree's branches and a family gathering photo twisted into skeletal shapes. Patterns and symbols like a crescent moon or a spiral of dots appeared repeatedly but eluded explanation. Her research into Victorian photography found no answers. Clara became convinced the photos were deliberate constructions rather than flawed captures. The people in the images appeared aware of the anomalies, their expressions ranging from acceptance to terror. In one chilling photo, a man stood in a dim hallway, his face pale with fear, while the wallpaper behind him dissolved into a swirling mass. With each discovery, Clara's unease grew. She wondered if the album was cursed, carrying forces beyond understanding. The photographs felt like warnings from a time when her family encountered something inexplicable and inescapable. Now reaching out to her through aged paper and faded ink? Whispers of the past, Clara's quest for answers took her to her childhood home's attic, a place she hadn't visited since her teenage years. Dust motes floated in the slanted sunlight as she rifled through forgotten heirlooms and old documents. Among the family relics, she found letters in spidery handwriting, cracked leather-bound journals, and newspaper clippings about unexplained disappearances and strange events from the late 19th century. One journal, written by her great-great-grandmother Eliza, described chilling events. Eliza wrote of whispers in the house, shadowy movements, and the feeling of being watched. She mentioned a dark visitor who came at night, leaving a sense of dread. Her entries grew frantic, ending with a cryptic note: "They are among us, unseen but ever present." Newspaper clippings revealed fears of that era. Articles spoke of mysterious deaths with victims' faces frozen in terror. One clipping referenced a day at the family estate, where participants claimed to have communicated with malevolent spirits. The ended abruptly when one medium screamed and fled. As Clara connected these historical fragments, a pattern emerged that matched anomalies in her photographs. Symbols like the crescent moon and spiraling dots appeared in the journals, described as marks of protection against unseen forces. However, the effectiveness of these words was questionable as terror continued. Researching town archives, Clara found that her family estate was built on land once considered sacred by indigenous tribes, believed to be a gateway between worlds. When settlers developed the land, the protective rituals were abandoned, and disturbances began. Each revelation deepened Clara's understanding of the sinister forces tied to her family's past. The photographs were visual echoes of a legacy steeped in fear and mystery. The blurred faces, unnatural shadows, and eerie symbols were manifestations of the supernatural presence haunting her ancestors. Clara felt the weight of her lineage, a burden she was only beginning to comprehend. Echoes of the present as Clara delved deeper into the mysteries of her family's past. She began to notice unsettling parallels between the eerie phenomena documented in the photographs and events unfolding in her own life. It started subtly, a fleeting shadow darting across the edge of her vision as she worked late into the night, or the faint sound of whispers when no one else was home. At first, she dismissed these occurrences as stress-induced illusions. But the frequency and intensity of these incidents grew, mirroring the escalating dread captured in the old photographs. One evening, as she sat poring over Eliza's journal, the air in her apartment suddenly grew cold, sending goosebumps rippling across her skin. The pages of the journal began to flutter violently, though there was no breeze. Startled, Clara looked up to see her reflection in the window, only to realize that her reflection was smiling back at her, a cruel, knowing grin that she wasn't making. Her heart pounded as she turned away, but the sensation of being watched lingered, heavier and more oppressive than before. The next morning, Clara discovered a photograph she had taken just days earlier of her living room. In the foreground, her cat lounged on the couch, but in the background, a faint figure stood near the bookshelf, its form indistinct but unmistakably human. The resemblance to the blurred figures in the old family photos was uncanny. Panic gripped her as she realized the anomalies were no longer confined to the past. They were bleeding into her present, manifesting in ways that defied logic. Her dreams became another battleground. Night after night, she was haunted by vivid, fragmented visions of shadowy corridors and whispering voices calling her name. In one particularly harrowing dream, she found herself standing in the Victorian parlor from the family portrait. The man with the unnatural shadow looming closer with each step. His distorted face loomed inches from hers, his lips moving silently as though trying to communicate something vital. She woke drenched in sweat, the echo of his voice reverberating in her mind. Clara's daily life began to unravel. Friends noticed her growing distraction and pallor, urging her to take a break, but she couldn't stop. The more she resisted confronting the truth, the more the forces seemed to press in on her. Objects in her apartment shifted inexplicably, books falling from shelves, chairs scraping across the floor without cause. Once, she swore she saw the crescent moon symbol from the photographs etched faintly into her bathroom mirror, only for it to vanish when she blinked. The breaking point came when she received a package she hadn't ordered. Inside was a Polaroid photograph, its edges singed as though it had been exposed to intense heat. The image showed her standing in her kitchen, her back turned to the camera. But in the reflection of the window, her face was contorted in a scream, her eyes wide with terror. Scrawled across the bottom in jagged handwriting were the words, "They know you re-looking." Clara's hands trembled as she stared at the photograph. The realization sinking in. Whatever had haunted her ancestors was now aware of her. The line between past and present had dissolved, and she was no longer a passive observer. She was part of the story, a thread woven into the tapestry of her family's dark legacy. The question now was whether she could unravel a tour if it would unravel her first. The gateway beckons. Clara's investigation took a drastic turn when she stumbled upon a passage in Elisa's journal that referenced a specific location, the family estate's basement. According to the writings, it was there that the dark visitor first made its presence known. Emerging from the shadows during a stormy night, Elisa described the basement as a place of unearthly cold and whispering walls, warning future generations to avoid it at all costs. Yet Clara knew she couldn't ignore this clue. It was too central to the mystery, too deeply tied to the forces haunting her family. Armed with a flashlight and a determination bordering on recklessness, Clara descended into the basement of her childhood home, a space she had avoided since she was a child. The air was damp and heavy, carrying the faint scent of mildew and something metallic that made her stomach churn. Her footsteps echoed unnaturally loud against the stone floor, each sound swallowed by the oppressive silence that followed. The beam of her flashlight cut through the darkness, revealing cobwebbed corners and rusted tools hanging on the walls. But it was the far end of the room that drew her attention, a section of the wall, partially obscured by an old moth-eaten curtain. Pulling the curtain aside, Clara gasped. Carved into the stone was a large, intricate symbol resembling the crescent moon and spiraling dots she had seen in the photographs and journals. The lines of the carving were deep and precise, as though made with deliberate care. And they seemed to shimmer faintly under the light, pulsing with an energy that made her skin prickle. Beneath this symbol was a small, weathered wooden door, its surface etched with scratches that looked like claw marks. A brass handle, tarnished with age, jutted out invitingly, menacingly. Her breath hitched as she reached for the handle, her fingers trembling. The moment her hand made contact, the temperature plummeted. And the whispers she had heard in her dreams erupted around her, louder and more distinct. They were no longer unintelligible murmurs, but fragmented phrases spoken in voices that overlapped and clashed. "Leave it closed," one voice hissed. "We cannot undo what has been done," another warned. Despite the cacophony, Clara's resolve hardened. She knew she had to confront whatever lay beyond the door. It was the key to understanding the curse that had plagued her family for generations. With a deep breath, she turned the handle and pushed the door open. Beyond it was a narrow staircase, descending into absolute darkness. The air that wafted up was icy and carried the faint scent of earth and decay. Clara hesitated for a moment, her mind screaming at her to turn back, but something deeper, a mix of curiosity, desperation, and defiance propelled her forward. She stepped onto the first stair, the wood groaning beneath her weight, and began her descent into the unknown. As she descended, the whispers grew louder, forming a deafening chorus that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. Shadows danced along the edges of her flashlight beam, twisting and writhing as though alive. Halfway down, she stumbled upon a collection of objects scattered across the steps, old photographs, some of which she recognized from the album, alongside trinkets and talismans inscribed with the same symbols she had seen before. It was as if someone or something had been collecting pieces of her family's history, preserving them in this liminal space. Finally, she reached the bottom. The room before her was cavernous, its ceiling lost in shadow. In the center stood an altar-like structure made of black stone, its surface covered in carvings that glowed faintly with an otherworldly light. Surrounding the altar were dozens of candles, their flames flickering despite the absence of any breeze. The air was thick with an electric tension, and Clara felt as though she were standing on the precipice of two worlds, the physical and the supernatural. It was then that she saw it. Rising from the altar was a figure cloaked in shadow, its form shifting, and unstable as though it existed simultaneously in multiple states of being. Its eyes glowing like embers, locked onto hers, and a wave of nausea washed over her. The whispers ceased, replaced by a single resonant voice that seemed to emanate from everywhere and nowhere. "You should not have come," it said, its tone both mournful and menacing. "But now that you are here, the choice is yours." Clara's heart raced as she realized the gravity of the moment. This was the source of the curse, the entity that had haunted her family for generations. It wasn't just a malevolent spirit. It was a gatekeeper, a being that thrived on fear and despair. And now, it was offering her a choice: to walk away and leave the curse intact, or to confront it and risk everything in the hope of breaking free. Confrontation and revelation, the figure before Clara seemed to pulse with an ancient, malevolent energy, its form shifting unpredictably, as if it were composed of countless overlapping shadows. The air around her crackled with tension, and the candles surrounding the altar flickered wildly, their flames stretching toward her as though drawn by her presence. Clara's mind raced, torn between the instinct to flee and the overwhelming need to understand. To confront the force that had shaped her family's history and now threatened to consume her. Summoning every ounce of courage, Clara stepped closer to the altar, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. "What do you want from me?" she demanded, her words echoing unnaturally in the cavernous space. The figure tilted its head, its ember-like eyes narrowing as though considering her audacity. For a moment, the room fell silent, save for the faint hum of energy emanating from the glowing carvings on the altar. "You seek answers," the entity replied, its voice layered with countless tones, some whispery and others guttural. "But knowledge comes at a cost. Your family bound me here, and I have fed on their fear for generations. You are the last link in that chain." Clara's breath hitched. "Bound you? What do you mean?" The figure gestured with a shadowy arm, and the carvings on the altar glowed brighter, projecting ghostly images. Clara watched in silence as her ancestors performed rituals. The truth hit her. Her family had summoned this entity, trying to harness its power, but ending up trapping it, binding it to their bloodline. "You used us," Clara whispered. "You preyed on our fears, and yet you stand here now," the entity mocked. "Will you break the cycle or perpetuate it?" Clara thought of the puzzle her family left behind. Solving it meant risking everything. If she failed, the entity might grow stronger. If she succeeded, she could sever the connection forever. Drawing strength, Clara stepped closer. "I won't let you win. Whatever price I have to pay, I'll pay it." The entity hissed. "Bravery alone will not suffice. To banish me, you must offer a piece of your soul." Clara hesitated, but remembered the lives consumed by fear. "I'll do it," she said. "Take what you need, but leave my family alone." The entity extended a tendril toward her chest. Clara felt a searing pain as something vital was torn away. When she opened her eyes, the entity was gone and the room was still. The altar crumbled, the carvings faded, and the candles extinguished. Clara emerged from the basement. The oppressive cold lifted. She collapsed, tears streaming down her face. The entity was gone, but she felt its absence a void where part of her used to be. Yet, amidst the exhaustion and grief, there was peace. She had broken the cycle. Her family was free. Aftermath and reflections. In the weeks that followed her basement confrontation, Clara grappled with profound changes. While physically unscathed, she felt emotionally transformed, as though part of her identity had irrevocably changed. The absence of the entity's presence brought clarity, but also left her dealing with the weight of her sacrifice. Nights were the hardest, filled with an unsettling emptiness instead of tormenting dreams, reminding her of the price paid to free her family from darkness. Despite the loss, Clara felt liberated. The once sinister photographs now seemed like relics of a distant past, their power stripped away. Revisiting the old family album, Clara saw not fear but resilience in her ancestors' faces, recognizing her family's history as a legacy of survival. Her obsession shifted to a deeper appreciation for the present, reconnecting with friends and family and sharing parts of her journey. Clara's experience gave her a sense of responsibility. She understood that the painful past needed acknowledgement and resolution. By confronting the entity, she freed her family and reclaimed her agency. The true power of the photographs lay in illuminating her ancestors' resilience, serving as reminders of courage in the face of the unknown. As she closed her journal, Clara felt a sense of strength. The shadows were gone, but their echoes remained as guides. Having faced the darkness, she emerged stronger, her soul lighter, ready to carry the light forward. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you found this video intriguing. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe and tap the notification bell to stay updated with more mysterious tales. Until next time, keep your curiosity alive and stay cautious.